Hey everyone, Antipeter1M here. So over my 43 years of living on this planet, I've developed what can be called an agenda. And that agenda is, veganism, antinatalism, minimalism, kindness to others, that sort of thing. And I realize that I'm pissing a lot of people off by spouting this type of belief on other people. So why is that? Well, there's some ways of interpreting this. One way is to say that people, all people have a different are at a different stage of their life, different stages of developing, and different stages of appreciating and appraising the evidence of life that is set out before them. So the love languages is kind of like a study about how people appreciate other people, and everyone is different in their own way. Everyone is unique. So the same thing happens with the way that we approach knowledge in the universe. Some people approach it with spirituality, some people approach it with concrete or abstract reasoning, that sort of thing. And the problem is that because we're all at different stages of development, we will all have slightly degrees of disagreeing with each other. The labels that we decide to name and affix to other people are used as conveniences. So things like wokery and wokeism, veganism and left-wing people and right-wing and fascist and ecocide and eco-fascist, all these labels are designed to be convenient because they're part of the language that we like to use. And these grow or decline in popularity or usage over time. At the end of the day, they are just labels. They are things that we ascribe to other people. And when we forget that people are just what they are, we forget that we are living in the moment. We forget that we are just people who are trying to improve the world or otherwise not improve the world, as the case may be. All of these things are inconveniences to us when we label people and forget that they're just labels, which can be removed as well. I've mentioned in quite a few of my videos that the word veganism doesn't sit very easily with me. When people use the word vegan, it reminds me that people are very prone to prejudice about that label, and it's a very dangerous label to use on certain people in certain ways at certain times. That's why I believe in reinventing the language all the time and not allowing people to label me too much if that was possible. But I think people have already done that, and people subconsciously believe that I'm a certain way, that I will never change, and that ideologically I'm very different from them, and that these things are beyond redemption. I call this the closeted jar syndrome. That is, we love to label others and then set them aside because they're too much for us and our conscience to bear. Our cognitive dissonance is far too much for us to bear. But it's well worth remembering that every human has a specific capacity for disagreement, debate, and personal change. For us to acknowledge that these capacities exist is the only thing that we really can do, because we cannot really know how much that capacity really is. For those of us who want to leverage change and improvement in other people, we cannot possibly know the parameters of other people's capacity for change. So dealing with Christians, for example, is something that I've had to do over many years in various times. Christian evangelicals are often particularly known for spreading their doctrine in very pervasive ways. So once we're sort of addicted by their religion, it's hard to stop feeling like we're indoctrinated or being indoctrinated in real. And that creates consternation, it creates cognitive dissonance, and we feel like we have to struggle to get out of that particular mindset or that doctrine of belief. On the other hand, there's this thing called wokery and wokeism. That's a system where dissent is often actively stifled. The label of woke is actually used in very varying ways. So this behavior varies among people who call themselves woke. If, as people, we are to defend our freedom of speech, we really need to work hard these days, because wokeism in the terms that I describe it, is a huge problem among people who don't even call themselves woke sometimes. And there are people who call themselves woke who aren't affected very much by this concept of stifling dissent and debate. Humans are not designed to be perfect. Earthling Ed himself, who derided the term vegan because he didn't like it very much and said that it wasn't necessary in a world where everyone was naturally vegan, Earthling Ed has a very conversant style. He has a perfect image in certain ways, very amenable, very friendly to people. At the same time, he himself has a policy for how he deals with people who are dissenting, and he can't deal with everybody all at once, and he just can't deal with people who are completely unruly and are resistant to change. He doesn't put these sort of things up on his channel. I'm sure that people like Earthling Ed who are trying to enact positive change in the world do attract a lot of business for what they want to do to change the world. It's a very unfortunate part of being an activist. But being an activist, we also have to realize that people are just people of who are. We should portray them and understand them as being unfixed and amenable, even when this does not always appear to be the case. So what we're doing is appreciating people for who they are, even though they may not always be doing the right thing. And also looking into ourselves introspectively and saying, okay, there are some things in the past and even in the present and in the future which we'll not do perfectly as people and as activists. And we need to forgive ourselves and keep on working with what we've got to make the world better, essentially. I'm sorry this is such a difficult topic to explain and describe and to navigate, but I've tried my best in this video and I hope that you have learned something from what I had to say today. Thank you very much.